Imagine slipping beneath the waves, far below where sunlight dares to travel, into a world so alien it defies common sense. This twilight realm begins around 200 meters deep, plunging down to 1,000 meters and beyond, where the ocean becomes a shadowy expanse known as the dark zones. Here, light vanishes almost entirely, giving way to an abyss portrayed by crushing pressure, temperatures barely above freezing, and eerily still water. It's a realm so untouched and mysterious that humanity knows more about the surface of the moon than the creatures haunting these depths. In the dead silence, strange glimmers of bioluminescence pulse faintly like ghostly signals from the darkness, hinting at hidden life that not only survives but thrives under conditions hostile to almost everything familiar. Unlike the sunlit shallows that burst with colorful coral reefs and swarms of fish, the dark zones are shaped by scarcity and extremity. Without sunlight, photosynthesis, the process that sustains most life on Earth, is impossible here. Instead, life depends on what falls from above. Microscopic particles of dead plants, droppings, and organic detritus drifting down like rain. This trickle of nutrients feeds a sparse but tenacious food web. Yet, even with such scarcity, species have evolved remarkable adaptations to seize every chance for survival. Some have developed enormous, cavernous mouths to catch whatever drifts their way. Others sport translucent skin to remain nearly invisible in the all-encompassing blackness. And many produce their own light through bioluminescence, a haunting glow meant to lure prey or confuse predators in this eternal night. What makes these dark zones truly enigmatic isn't just the harshness of the environment, but surprising natural phenomena defying prior assumptions. Recent scientific discoveries have revealed that far below where daylight fades, oxygen levels behave unexpectedly. Deep-sea nodules, rocky mineral deposits scattered on the abyssal plains, appear to generate dark oxygen. These mineral formations, composed of metals like manganese, nickel, and copper, act like tiny galvanic batteries, splitting seawater molecules chemically to release oxygen even in total darkness. This process shatters the long-held belief that oxygen can only be synthesized through photosynthesis, adding a surreal twist to our understanding of life's breath in the most desolate corners of Earth. These mysterious oxygen sources might explain the surprising presence of microbial life deep at the ocean floor's most remote places. Extremophiles, organisms adapted to conditions lethal to most life, carry the evolutionary torch here. They utilize chemoautotrophy, extracting energy from inorganic chemical reactions rather than sunlight, fueling entire ecosystems around hydrothermal vents and cold seeps. The very idea that oxygen, fundamental to complex life, could be created in utter darkness sparks a cocktail of wonder and unease. Could such a mechanism have played a role in Earth's own early history, where life burgeoned before sunlight could reach the seas? This hidden chemistry beneath kilometers of water challenges our perception of biological limits and hints at untold evolutionary stories still waiting to surface. Yet, the dark zones remain as much a haunting mystery as a scientific frontier. There are immense questions about the extent and variability of such biogeochemical processes. Does dark oxygen production ripple far across the abyssal plains or flicker in isolated pockets? How stable are these ecosystems to the ever-changing rhythms of climate and ocean chemistry above? As human activity encroaches deeper, with mining interests eyeing polymetallic nodules, the shadowy balance of these fragile habitats faces new threats. It's a silent battleground where ancient geological forces meet life's stubborn persistence, threatening to reveal secrets that may unsettle what we thought we knew about the ocean's depths. As the layers deepen into the bathypelagic and even the abyssopelagic zones, darkness becomes complete, eternal. This is not merely night. It's a space untouched by light for millions of years. Organisms here are sculpted by stoic patience and spectral adaptations, such as the ability to produce mesmerizing light patterns for communication in the void. The creatures seem almost ghost-like. Translucent jellyfish pulsing slowly, fish with eyes evolved to detect the faintest flickers, and bizarre forms with bodies built for the crushing pressures. It's a realm that evokes both awe and a primal fear, a reminder that life can persist in forms that strain the imagination and terrorize our senses. In this silent vastness, The ocean's dark zones are a prelude to deeper questions about the unknown. What if, beneath this crushing blackness, life has developed communication and intelligence unlike anything on the surface? The ongoing discoveries of rhythmic bioluminescent patterns and coordinated behaviors hint at complex biological networks, possibly spanning vast distances. This possibility stirs a subtle chill. Could the abyss be alive in ways we cannot yet comprehend? The silence then becomes not emptiness, but a dark, unfathomable consciousness, watching and waiting in its own shadowy dominion. So, as we peer through the shimmering veil of deep-sea mysteries, we stand on the edge of discovery that may reconstruct understanding of life itself. The abyss whispers ancient stories of survival, evolution, and adaptation that have unfolded untouched in darkness. It challenges us to wonder if the ocean's silent depths hold forms of life unlike anything we've ever imagined, beings shaped by darkness, born of mineral batteries and chemical alchemy, living in a realm where time flows differently. What secrets will be unearthed next? And when we answer such questions, how will it change the way we see our place on this wild, enigmatic planet? Picture the ocean's ancient stability cracking under invisible strain, as whispers of change ripple from the surface into the suffocating dark below. For eons, the deep zones held steady, their chemistry locked in a frigid, unchanging embrace. But now currents twist in unfamiliar patterns, carrying the scars of a warming world above. Oxygen, once plentiful in subtle gradients, begins to thin out, creating vast expanses where breath becomes a luxury even for the hardiest survivors. Salinity shifts erratically, some pockets growing brinier while others dilute into ghostly pallor, disrupting the delicate balance that life has clung to for millions of years. Methane, long trapped in icy cages on the seafloor, starts to seep free, bubbling up like forbidden secrets from the Earth's core. Acidification seeps downward, turning water into a corrosive soup that gnaws at shells and dissolves the foundations of hidden ecosystems. These are not isolated tremors but a symphony of transformation, where every note alters the score of survival. What hidden forces are stirring this primordial cauldron, and what monstrous adaptations might they birth? High above in the sunlit realms, human fingerprints accelerate the chaos, pumping heat and carbon into the seas at unprecedented rates. Sea surface temperatures shatter records, fueling storms that churn deeper than ever before, dragging warmth into the twilight zones. This thermal invasion stratifies the water column, trapping nutrients below while starving the layers above, a recipe for collapse that echoes through the depths. In the tropical Atlantic and North Pacific, compound changes converge with ferocious speed, warming waters turning saltier, oxygen fleeing as acidity climbs. Recent studies reveal that 30 to 40% of the upper 1,000 meters already bear these multiple scars, a stark shift from just decades ago. The deep ocean, once a bastion of stability, now responds with surprising haste, its boundaries blurring as change penetrates abyssal plains. Imagine the pressure of this upheaval. What silent screams might the water carry from creatures caught in the flux? At hydrothermal vents, where superheated plumes once nurtured bizarre tube worms and chemosynthetic bacteria, the alchemy falters under new rules. Rising temperatures destabilize the mineral-rich fluids, while acidification erodes the sulfide structures that anchor these oases of life. Extremophiles, those microscopic pioneers thriving on chemical energy, face a paradox. Harsher conditions demand faster evolution, yet resources dwindle in the turmoil. Single-celled opportunists multiply in decaying organic falls, feasting on the fallout from collapsing surface plankton blooms. Bioengineered proteins emerge in speculative swarms, twisting molecular chains to withstand pH levels that would melt familiar flesh. Ghostly plumes of hydrogen sulfide bloom wider, painting the darkness with toxic veils that choke out the weak. Could these vents become crucibles for something utterly alien, forged in fire and acid? Deeper still, oxygen minimum zones expand like ink in water, swallowing habitats whole and birthing dead expanses where nothing stirs. Warming slows circulation, the great ocean conveyor stuttering as freshwater influx from melting poles freshens the north, halting the deep's vital turnover. In the Arabian Sea and Mediterranean, triple threats, heat, salt shifts, deoxygenation, collide, pushing ecosystems beyond tipping points into unknown states. Marine species migrate or perish, their ancient migrations rerouted by invisible walls of chemistry. Yet amid the loss, evolution whispers possibilities. Microbes harnessing methane for energy, evolving enzymes that thrive in anoxic voids. Picture vast bacterial mats unfurling across sediments, pulsing with unnatural vigor, sustained by dark oxygen from seafloor nodules. Does this herald resilience or the dawn of something predatory and insatiable? The horror lies in the subtlety, the way change masquerades as opportunity before revealing its teeth. Single-celled life explodes in diversity, colonizing niches once deemed barren, their metabolic tricks defying oxygen's absence. Viruses, too, adapt, leaping between hosts in weakened webs, pruning the old to make way for the relentless new. Hydrothermal chimneys groan under pressure shifts, spewing altered brews that fuel hybrid metabolisms blending sulfur, iron, and hydrogen. Spectral growths cling to rocks, filamentous tendrils waving in currents laced with dissolved metals. Acid-tolerant archaea dominate, their cell walls reinforced like armor against the encroaching burn. What if these pioneers link into vast networks, communicating through chemical gradients across miles of abyss? The deep silence grows pregnant with potential, heavy with the weight of impending birth. As stratification thickens, food chains invert, with deep dwellers rising to plunder surface spoils while surface life plummets into scarcity. Plummeting oxygen couples with warming to spawn hypoxic horrors, zones where complex animals gasp and dissolve. Yet evolution races ahead, crafting beings with gills evolved for trace gases, bodies streamlined for energy poverty. Methane seeps ignite chemosynthetic booms, clams and mussels mutating symbiotic bacteria into super-efficient powerhouses. The seafloor stirs with opportunistic blooms, mats of bacteria carpeting sediments in unnatural thickness. Ghostly silhouettes of future forms flicker in our models. Translucent, resilient, hungry. Is this the ocean rewriting its own apocalypse, or merely the prelude to dominion? These whispers of change ripple outward, touching every layer with their chill promise of reinvention. Compound stressors synergize, amplifying impacts far beyond single blows, turning stable chemistry into volatile brew. Projections warn of deepening penetration, with abyssal realms no longer immune to the frenzy above. Life's stubborn ingenuity shines through, extremophiles pioneering paths through poison and pressure. But unease lingers. What price for such adaptation in a world unmade? Vast dead zones pulse with latent potential, awaiting the spark that ignites frenzy. The deep ocean murmurs of futures where scarcity breeds supremacy, darkness forges the unbreakable. So we hover on the brink, listening to the ocean's transforming heartbeat, alive with dread and fascination. Currents carry omens of ecosystems reborn in extremity, where acid and anoxia sculpt the next wave of existence. Thought-provoking shadows dance. Will these changes birth wonders or nightmares from the void? Humanity's hand accelerates the symphony, but the deep composes its own crescendo. Extremophiles lead the charge, their quiet conquests hinting at intelligence born of desperation. The silence thickens, charged with the unknown, as evolution's pen scratches new chapters in eternal night. What emerges from this cauldron may redefine life itself, watching us from below with eyes we cannot fathom. The architects of darkness are the creatures that have evolved to survive and even thrive in a realm where sunlight never penetrates. Imagine a world so foreign that the mere presence of light would be a curse, rendering you vulnerable. In these crushing depths of the ocean's dark zones, life has taken on astonishing forms, more strange and enigmatic than any surface species could dream. From translucent skin that distorts their shape in near invisibility to grotesque appendages designed to snatch unwary prey, these organisms are the result of millions of years of forced adaptation. Their survival strategies range from bioluminescent lures to harpoons and traps, designed for life in eternal blackness where energy is scarce and opportunity fleeting. What kind of predators stalk these waters, and how have they honed their ghostly hunting to razor precision? The deep sea is less a wilderness and more a cryptic cathedral of evolution, where each structure pulses with secret life. Take the cookie-cutter shark, a small but deadly architect of these depths, named for its uncanny habit of biting neat, circular chunks from larger animals, including whales, and sometimes even submarines. Its underbelly glows softly, using an array of light organs to mimic the faint downwelling light and mask its silhouette from potential prey swimming above. This method, called counterillumination, is both an art of camouflage and deception, allowing this hunter to sit unseen until the moment it strikes. It's part of a massive, daily vertical migration where countless creatures rise toward the surface under cover of night, feeding and evading predators before retreating back to the depths. This dance of life is the greatest migration on Earth, a spectacle of dark zones shifting in rhythms unknowable to us but vital to the ocean's ecology. How many other hunters lurk, equipped with hidden tools of survival that baffle and terrify? The dragonfish exemplifies the ferocity and ingenuity of these dark architects. Hanging in the water column, it waits patiently, its sleek body rimmed with light organs that flash in sudden signals to confuse or attract. Unlike most creatures, the dragonfish can both emit and see red light, one of the few wavelengths filtered out just below the surface, giving it a clandestine ability to spotlight prey invisible to all others. Its rows of needle-like teeth and expandable jaws whisper of a predator capable of swallowing prey nearly its own size. This deep hunter doesn't waste energy swimming after prey. It waits with cold precision, stalking the void between flashes of life. In the abyssal theater, stealth and patience are deadly weapons, enabling a predator to reign in a world where food is a scarce, precious currency. Deeper still, strange colonies form like cities of the future. Giant invertebrates, jellyfish and sponges among them, grow in almost architectural forms, sprawling in mysterious lattices or draping like alien tapestries. These creatures live in symbiosis with bacteria that recycle energy from chemicals escaping from the Earth's crust. Their bodies are resilient yet ghostly, sometimes glowing faintly or pulsing with waves of bioelectricity. It's a complex network where individual organisms behave almost like cells within a larger organism, a collective intelligence emerging from the dark. This raises eerie questions. Could these networks communicate beyond simple chemical signals, forming a shared awareness or even intelligence? If life adapts to survive in clone-like coherence, what might such a being think in the endless night? Survival demands creativity. Many species have evolved unique forms of locomotion suited to energy-poor depths, moving sluggishly or drifting, armed with sensory adaptations beyond human capacity. Translucent bodies defy traditional predator-prey detection, a form of invisibility achieved by bending and scattering the oceanic darkness. Eyes have adapted differently, some with tubular lenses pointed upwards to spot faint silhouettes against dim light, others losing sight entirely to concentrate on sensing vibrations or electromagnetic signals. The bony-eared assfish, for example, boasts the smallest brain-to-body ratio of any vertebrate, its physiology optimized not for complex thought but energy conservation in a hostile world. What lessons could such radical diminishment of function teach us about life's persistent drive to survive at all costs? Anglerfish, meanwhile, use their famous bioluminescent lures to attract curious victims into snapping jaws hidden in the abyssal gloom. These lures are not mere attractions but highly developed sensory tools shimmering with microbial light factories. In some species, males permanently fuse to females, resulting in a symbiotic, almost parasitic relationship ensuring reproduction in a vast, lonely void. Meanwhile, creatures like the batfish walk the seabed using modified fins, their silhouette ghostly and alien under flickering bioluminescence. In this world, beauty is strange, a product of function married to the unforgiving environment. It's an ocean realm stranger than fiction where the rules are bent and rewritten by necessity. Predation transforms into an art of unseen terror. Fong-toothed fish carry massive, intimidating teeth despite their small size, jaws capable of crushing prey and slicing through flesh with terrifying efficiency. Their upper jaws house special sheaths protecting their brains, a chilling reminder of how anatomy adapts to preserve life in extremes. Other organisms invest in chemical warfare or deploy venomous barbs as defense against predators adapting to prey's evolving tactics. The balance between hunter and hunted is fragile, a nightmarish ballet extending below what sunlight touches, where existence is a constant gamble against hunger and death. What other adaptations hide in the shadows, unseen and unimagined, as the ocean's story unfolds in darkness? Within this world of architects, life morphs into forms that blur the line between organism and ecosystem, predator and prey, machine and being. Collective intelligence, chemical communication, and bioluminescent signaling create a cryptic language spoken in flashes and pulses. The continuous evolution in these dark depths is not just biological but almost cybernetic, hinting at a future where life itself is an interconnected network operating beyond our understanding. This blend of mystery, survival, and alien beauty crafts a haunting vision of the ocean beneath, where the architects of darkness shape their silent dominions, eternally adapting in the cold and crushing black. So the dark zones challenge our imagination, revealing that life's architecture in the deep sea is a masterpiece woven from shadow, chemistry, and evolutionary cunning. Their inhabitants remind us that survival is both an art and a science, driven by adaptation that defies conventional reasoning. These creatures are the ocean's architects, constructing lives from crushing pressure, eternal night, and the thinnest threads of energy. What new forms may arise from these depths as conditions shift and evolve? Could their designs inspire innovations yet unimagined by humanity? And as we uncover more of their mysteries, how will it reshape our understanding of life's resilience, intelligence, and beauty in the planet's darkest corners? Beneath the crushing pressure of the ocean, miles from the sun's comforting glow, lie hydrothermal vents, chimneys of glowing, superheated water upheaving from the Earth's fractured crust. These vents market themselves as death zones, scalding, toxic, and alien. But in reality, they are oases, rare but vibrant pockets of life in the ocean's dark zones that defy the bleak surroundings. The water pouring out of these vents is hot, rich in minerals and chemicals like hydrogen sulfide, which would be deadly to most creatures but here fuel entire ecosystems. Life here does not rely on sunlight but on chemosynthesis, where bacteria convert chemicals into energy, forming the basis of a unique food web. This extraordinary process allows lush communities of tube worms, clams, shrimp, and crustaceans to thrive around these volcanic vents, a biological explosion amid the abyss's stillness. What strange alliances underpin this swirling dance of life in the dark? These vent communities resemble otherworldly cities glowing in the Black Sea, tied together by a complex web of chemical interactions and biological symbiosis. Tube worms, with their bright red plumes filtering dissolved chemicals, thrive without mouths or stomachs, relying instead on internal bacteria to convert vent emissions into nourishment. Clams and mussels similarly harbor symbiotic bacteria, forging complex partnerships that turn poison into food. The vent's mineral-rich fluids sculpt the landscape, creating a patchwork of habitats interrupted by volcanic eruptions and shifts. Such catastrophic disturbances wipe communities but also reset the stage for succession, as pioneer species colonize newly formed vents, rebuilding these ecosystems step by step. This continuous cycle of destruction and renewal reveals nature's uncanny mastery of resilience under extreme stress. How do life's tenacity and chemistry intertwine to orchestrate this perpetual rebirth? Though hydrothermal vent ecosystems flourish locally, their distribution is highly patchy, scattered like rare jewels along mid-ocean ridges and volcanic arcs. These sites are transient, flickering in geological time as tectonic forces open new fissures and close others. The communities thrive in isolation but remain connected by the dispersal of larvae carried on ocean currents, a drifting thread weaving metacommunities into a fragile network. This dispersal shapes genetic diversity and resilience, allowing life to flourish despite fragmentation. Yet, barriers in the ocean's topography and chemistry can hinder connectivity, threatening isolated colonies with extinction. Could the delicate balance of survival in these spotty habitats be undone by environmental change or human interference? Beyond the towering vents, a mesmerizing variety of species flourish in extraordinary ways. Shrimp gather in dense swarms, waving sensory appendages that detect chemical cues, dodging predators with lightning reflexes. Yet, some of these species remain endemic, unable to survive outside their vent homes. Scientists have discovered entire ecosystems built on the unique chemistry vented from the seafloor that cannot be found anywhere else. The evolutionary adaptations here are startling. Creatures sport reinforced exoskeletons to withstand heat and toxic chemicals, and bizarre metabolic pathways enable survival through exploitation of dismal resources. Each organism is a specialist, honed finely by the extremes of heat, pressure, and chemical poison into forms borderline alien to even an imagined Earth. What surprises lie buried among these volcanic systems we have yet to uncover. The importance of hydrothermal vent ecosystems extends beyond biodiversity. They play critical roles in global biogeochemical cycles. The microbial communities fix carbon and cycle sulfur and metals, profound processes that ripples far into ocean chemistry. These chemical interactions contribute to the ocean's mineral budget and influence broader ecosystems, linking the deep sea to planetary systems. However, this balance is delicate, as vents are under increasing threat from commercial deep-sea mining targeting their mineral wealth, particularly polymetallic sulfides. Disturbance from mining could devastate unique communities and the fundamental processes they support, with consequences reverberating through the ocean system. How will humanity's desire for resources rewrite the story of these ancient, fragile habitats? New scientific expeditions have revealed surprising complexity beneath the seafloor. Some researchers discovered that vent fluid flows through cavities and cracks below the surface, supporting hidden ecosystems previously unknown. These subsurface vent communities host the same iconic animals with tubeworms and vent shrimp living a secret life beneath the ocean floor. These findings extend the limits of the known habitat, revealing a two-tiered system where life thrives above and below the crust's surface, interconnected yet separate. This challenges previous beliefs about the extent of biological activity and the resilience of vent systems to disturbances. What other hidden realms remain, silent and unexplored, under the pressure cooker of the ocean's depths? Succession and recolonization after vent eruptions are governed by a dynamic interplay between local species interactions and regional dispersal patterns. When a vent becomes inactive or destroyed, nearby larvae drift by ocean currents to reestablish new communities, sometimes over vast distances. Competitive and facilitative interactions shape which species dominate during different stages of ecosystem recovery, forming a living mosaic in flux. Some vents serve as stepping stones supporting biodiversity across larger seamount chains and mid-ocean ridges, essential for maintaining genetic flow and population structure. This dance of life and death highlights the fragility and adaptive capability of these ecosystems. Could the loss of connectivity seal the fate of hydrothermal communities, fragmenting life into isolated pockets doomed to vanish? The world of hydrothermal vents is a breathtaking glimpse into life's inventiveness, unfolding amid hostility and destruction. Each vent system pulses with frenetic biological energy, a beacon amid the lonely void. The interactions within these ecosystems illustrate coalitions between chemistry, geology, and biology, weaving a tapestry where life springs eternal against odds. They challenge our understanding of life's necessities: energy without sunlight, warmth without fire, biology without stability. It's a realm of ongoing discovery and urgent conservation, a symbol of resilience against a changing planet and expanding human footprint. What lessons will humanity learn from these glowing chimneys beneath the waves, and how might they shape the future of ocean exploration and preservation? Now the deep begins to stir, its ancient inhabitants ascending from the crushing black toward realms once thought forever separate. Glowing swarms pulse upward, following nutrient trails laced with the fallout of surface chaos, their bioluminescent trails weaving eerie patterns in the midnight waters. Dead zones sprawl wider across continental shelves, hypoxic voids where fish gasp and expire, leaving ghostly carcasses to drift into the abyss below. Strange tendrils unfurl from seafloor cracks, probing upward like seeking fingers into shallower currents, sampling the altered chemistry. Robotic submersibles capture fleeting glimpses, clusters of translucent forms clustering around their lights, eyes glinting with unnatural intelligence. Human probes falter under invisible pressures, cameras flickering as if watched by unseen multitudes. This rising below whispers of boundaries dissolving, where deep life claims new territory in a world remade by warming and acid. What ancient hungers awaken as the layers converge? Climate's relentless march drives this ascent, melting poles flooding freshwaters that stall the ocean's great conveyor, trapping heat and carbon in stratified soups. Oxygen minimum zones balloon, merging deep and mid-depth horrors into vast expanses barren of familiar life. Pteropods, delicate shelled snails vital to food chains, dissolve in acidified plumes rising from below, their aragonite shells crumbling like forgotten porcelain. Deep-sea corals, those skeletal cities of the dark, fracture under pitch assault, their porous frameworks collapsing into rubble that chokes ascending migrants. Swarms of jellyfish descendants multiply unchecked, their stinging veils draping over fish schools, altering migrations into panicked flights. Continental shelves transform, once vibrant nurseries now patrolled by abyssal invaders with pressure-hardened forms. Projections paint a chilling canvas. By mid-century, these influences reshape fisheries worldwide. Could the deep's reclamation spell famine for surface seas? Humanity's shadow looms large in this upheaval. Carbon emissions acidifying waters to levels unseen in millions of years, penetrating even abyssal refuges. Melting ice unleashes sediments that cloud currents, while nutrient overloads from rivers spawn algal blooms, whose corpses rain toxicity downward. Robotic explorers beam back horrors. Submersibles ensnared in bioluminescent nets, sensors overwhelmed by electrical pulses from coordinated swarms. These future forms seem to anticipate intrusions, schooling in patterns mimicking machine logic, their forms streamlined for low-oxygen hunts. Acid erodes calcifiers indiscriminately, from microscopic plankton to towering gorgonians, weakening webs that once buffered the deep. Migrations invert as surface prey plummets into scarcity, drawing predators upward in ravenous tides. The mood thickens with dread. What if these risers carry plagues or toxins honed in isolation? Visuals from deep drones evoke primal unease. Elongated silhouettes with pulsating lights trailing continental slopes, tendrils coiling around startled cod. Fish stocks plummet as abyssal enzymes disrupt metabolisms, spawning mass die-offs etched in sonar ghosts. Glowing colonies anchor to shelf edges, filter feeding on poison detritus, their mucus veils ensnaring surface migrants. Ocean chemistry shifts irrevocably, carbonate ions scarce, forcing evolution's hand toward non-shelled horrors resilient to burn. Submersible logs describe encounters where forms pause, orienting toward lights as if studying observers with cold curiosity. Dead zones pulse with latent life, bacterial blooms fueling opportunistic ascents. This interplay births hybrid ecosystems, fragile yet ferocious. How long before shallow waters echo the deep's silent dominion? The horror simmers in subtlety, changes masquerading as natural flux before teeth emerge. Pteropod shells pit and flake, collapsing polar food chains that ripple to whales and seabirds. Deep corals succumb to coral porosis, their skeletons brittle as aged bone, toppling habitats for countless species. Invasive deep dwellers hybridize with shelf natives, birthing forms with chimeric traits, venomous barbs, electric senses, insatiable appetites. Currents ferry these pioneers shoreward, seeding bays with alien progeny. Acid-tolerant microbes hitch rides, seeding infections that ravage weakened hosts. Submersibles glitch under bioelectric barrages, feeds cutting to static amid swarming shadows. Is this evolution's triumph or apocalypse's vanguard? Projections deepen the chill. Expanded dead zones have fish catches. Economies teeter as abyssal blooms tint seas unearthly hues. Robotic fleets map the advance, charting tendril forests draping canyons, pulsing with chemical speech. Surface fisheries falter, stocks fleeing altered salinity gradients into traps of exhaustion. Deep life adapts swiftly, enzymes neutralizing acids, bodies gelatinous to evade pressure loss. Yet losses mount, crabs molting malformed shells, urchins stunted in growth. Human activity accelerates. Mining scars seafloors, stirring sediments that cloak risers in toxic shrouds. The ocean murmurs of reckoning, layers bleeding into unified peril. What defenses remain against this silent inundation? Encounters intensify, drones ensnared by curious appendages that probe hulls with deliberate grace. Lights flicker as forms cluster, bioluminescent scripting messages in the void, warnings or invitations. Acidification synergizes with heat, spawning metabolic mismatches where deep enzymes overclock in warmer shallows. Swarms coordinate via pressure waves, herding prey into abyssal funnels. Shelf ecosystems invert, predators dominant, herbivores scarce in barren expanses. Ghostly mats of extremophiles carpet shallows, recycling decay into unnatural abundance. Humanity watches via faltering tech, awe mingling with terror at life's audacious pivot. Does the rising below herald harmony or hegemony? Thus the deep ascends, rewriting ocean narratives in strokes of acid and glow, challenging complacency with visions of resilient unknowns. Boundaries blur as evolution bridges realms, birthing futures where dark architects claim the light. Emotional tides surge, wonder at ingenuity, fear of obsolescence in a sea reborn. Submersibles' final feeds haunt, eyes in the black, patient and myriad, awaiting our next descent. This convergence poses profound riddles. Will shallow life adapt or yield? Can humanity stem the tide of our making? The rising below pulses with promise and peril, a symphony of survival echoing from eternity's depths. Silence envelopes the screen once more, a profound hush that mirrors the ocean's eternal void, broken only by faint, rhythmic pulses of light rising from unfathomable depths. These ghostly flashes beat like distant heartbeats, or perhaps coded messages drifting upward through layers of pressure and cold. The deep ocean, once content in its isolation, now reveals a chapter of evolution that may eclipse humanity's fleeting dominance on the surface. Life here has forged paths of survival through chemical ingenuity, collective awareness, and relentless adaptation to worlds we can scarcely imagine. From extremophiles birthing dark oxygen to swarms communicating in bioluminescent symphonies, the abyss pulses with potential intelligence. This is no mere ecosystem but a burgeoning mind, woven from trillions of interconnected forms spanning the seafloor's vast expanse. What thoughts might stir in such a colossal, shadowy consciousness, patient and ancient beyond our years? Scientific reflection grounds this haunting vision in the tangible threads of biology and chemistry that bind the deep's tapestry. Chemosynthesis at vents and seeps sustains oases where sunlight never reaches, bacteria converting toxins into nourishment for towering tubeworms and blind crabs. Bioluminescence serves not just as lure or camouflage but as a language of flashes, coordinating hunts and migrations across miles of darkness. Recent probes detect pressure waves and chemical gradients linking colonies, hinting at emergent behaviors akin to neural networks in silicon. Evolution favors efficiency here, recycling every scrap of energy in food webs that invert surface norms, with giants feeding on microscopic falls. Yet this resilience carries an undercurrent of dread. What if such systems achieve sentience, observing our intrusions with cold calculation? The silence thickens, pregnant with possibilities that blur organism and organismal society. Humanity's role in this unfolding drama adds layers of irony and unease, our emissions acidifying waters that once buffered the planet's excesses. Pteropods dissolve, corals crumble, yet deep extremophiles thrive, their enzymes neutralizing pH assaults with eerie proficiency. Swarms ascend, altering fisheries and tinting shallows with unearthly glows, a subtle invasion born of our neglect. Robotic eyes capture pauses in the black, forms orienting toward lights, as if learning our patterns for future encounters. Projections whisper of tipping points where deep networks dominate, outlasting surface chaos with metabolic thrift and planetary scale. Emotional currents surge, awe at life's tenacity, terror at our obsolescence in an ocean reborn. Could we become mere footnotes in the deep's ascending saga? The deep's intelligence manifests not in brains but in distributed webs, jelly swarms pulsing in unison, vent colonies signaling via sulfide plumes. Electrical senses detect heartbeats through sediment, chemical memes propagate adaptations across generations. This collective mind operates on timescales geologic, unmoved by surface tempests yet responsive to their echoes. Imaginative leaps paint scenarios of abyssal archives, genetic libraries encoding eons of trial and error. Submersible malfunctions, circuits fried by bioelectric storms, hint at defenses or curiosity turned defensive. Horror simmers in the unknown. What drives such coordination? Instinct or awareness? The rhythmic lights persist, a Morse code from the void inviting or warning against further probing. Evolution's next chapter unfolds in silence. Extremophiles pioneering acid realms, translucent predators claiming depleted shelves. Dark oxygen from nodules fuels basal metabolisms, decoupling life from solar tyranny forever. Networks expand, linking trenches to ridges in vibrational choruses felt but not heard. Surface life yields ground. Fisheries falter as deep forms hybridize with shallows, birthing chimeric horrors. Yet wonder prevails. This intelligence promises continuity, a biosphere enduring beyond carbon spikes or ice ages. Questions linger like shadows. Does it perceive us as threats, partners, or irrelevant sparks? The abyss holds its counsel, lights pulsing steadily into the horizon. Reflection turns philosophical, pondering life's forms unbound by familiarity. Gelatinous thinkers, silicon-infused corals, methane-breathing hives. Scientific rigor tempers speculation, citing genomic studies revealing horizontal gene transfer accelerating deep innovations. Climate models forecast dominance of non-calcifying clades, resilient to the acid bath we brew. Emotional resonance builds. Pride in discovery mingles with humility before the unknown's scale. Robotic fleets map these evolutions, feeds alive with patterns defying randomness. Mild horror grips. What if the deep awakens fully, currents carrying its will shoreward? Silence reigns, yet throbs with unspoken futures. The ocean's horizon gleams with bioluminescent promise, a testament to adaptation's inexhaustible forge. Communication evolves beyond light to quantum-like entanglements of chemistry and vibration, spanning global gyres. Energy mastery peaks, dark processes yielding bountiful yields from barren substrates. Surface humanity watches, divided between harnessing and fearing this submerged renaissance. Thought-provoking vistas emerge, alliances with deep intelligences or conflicts over shared domain. The pulses quicken faintly, as if sensing observation, stirring primal unease. Life finds ways, always, in forms that redefine existence itself. In this silent vigil, awe and fear entwine, celebrating the deep's triumph while questioning our place within it. Rhythmic lights fade to whispers, leaving viewers suspended in mystery's embrace. Evolution whispers of legacies outlasting empires, intelligences born of darkness enduring light's death. Scientific truths anchor the reverie. Chemosynthetic bases, symbiotic webs, adaptive radiations amid change. Emotional closure arrives not in resolution but invitation to wonder. What emerges next from these depths? The ocean quiets, alive with unseen tomorrows, challenging us to listen closer to its profound, pulsing heart.